the closer you get to Jesus, the more your taste in partner changes. What I mean by this is, in my experience and of the people that I know who love Jesus, there is 0.000 and infinity attraction to a man that doesn't know Jesus, to a man that's not intimate with Jesus, to a man who doesn't go and have time with the Lord, to a man who hasn't had that walk with him. There's certainly no attraction to a man that doesn't know Jesus at all, like not even a Christian, because you can get Christians that are just Christians. Christians and being saved to me are two different things. Because a Christian, you can go to church and be raised in the church. Doesn't mean you know Jesus. It doesn't mean you're saved. So men that just go to church, not attractive. Men that don't know Jesus, not attractive. So when women ask me, should I marry this person that's not a Christian, or should I stay with a man who's not a Christian, my brain, I don't understand what the attraction is. I'm so sorry. I don't understand what the attraction is. How is that attractive? How is a man? So you're telling me the only way this is possible, okay, the only way this is plausible that you find a worldly man attractive is that you're a worldly woman. There's no other way, whether you go to church or not. I don't understand. Now, there can be exceptions to the rule. There are some people that have married people a long time ago and he wasn't saved, she was, or she wasn't saved and he was, and things change as the relationships go on. There's different circumstances for everyone. But right now, as it stands, if you're a single woman and you find a man in the world attractive, I don't understand that. If you know Jesus. If you're a single woman and you find a man who goes to church attractive but doesn't really know Jesus, I can only assume that you don't really know Jesus. For those who have got my book, flick to the end. That last chapter, because I remember I added that in just before I published it. It says, I would have made a great wife. There's a whole chapter on, I'll never be a wife because I'm so in love with Jesus that there can't possibly be any man that I'm attracted to, because what man loves Jesus the way that I love Jesus? Like, what man has got to the depth that I have got to with Jesus? I couldn't imagine it because I didn't know anyone. I had a friend who had, but I didn't know anyone. So I just accepted that I'll be single, and I was okay with that because I loved Jesus, and Jesus was my husband, and it's a whole thing. And then obviously I met my husband. We met and we got married within 3 months. We got engaged within a few weeks. Because we were so close to Jesus independently. No other man, there could be no other man that I was attracted to. And first of all, I met men in the world. Men in the world would approach me and ask me out, and I would just say, no thanks. Oh, but we can get to know each other. What for? For what, sir? Well, we could be friends. I don't need a friend. I don't need male friends. I'm not stupid. I'm good. So they were all And then, different churches I went to, I met people, and, people try and pursue you. And I'm just like, no, you go to church and that's great. You've been raised in Christianity, that's great. But your depth doesn't reach my depth. And if your depth doesn't reach my depth, I'm going to constantly feel empty. So that's a no. And as the months went on and the year came, to a year, I thought, I'm actually not going to meet anyone because I think I've gotten so close to God. I'm so far away from the world. It seems really impossible. Turns out I was just being carved out to be the wife of a remarkable man. So my question to you would be, how close are you to Jesus? Now, if you don't want to be that close to him, then that's fine. I think you're missing out. But I think that as life goes on, you get closer. But if you don't want to be that close to him, then you can date a man that's not that close to him. If you want to be in the world, then date a man in the world. In fact, date in general, because that seems to be what the world does. But if you find my content interesting and you are a woman of God, then you need to be with a man of God. How would you even have children? How would that work? How would that work? How would your children be raised? If you love Jesus, wouldn't you want your children to be raised to love Jesus too? Wouldn't you want to worship with them? Yes, you could have a husband that says, well, I'm not going to stop you. No, but your children need the man that leads them into that. And you're willing to sacrifice that? And then your children, what, are going to go into the world? That doesn't make sense to me. Why would we do that? So to finish this off, either you are not taking this seriously enough, you idolize marriage, so it's on a pedestal, you idolize it, you think everything's going to be solved when you're married, that you're going to soften, you're going to be provided for, all the things that God actually does with you first. You think that that comes direct from a man. You idolize marriage, you think it's this grand thing, and don't get me wrong, being married is beautiful. But the reason that I can say that is because I waited and I'm married to a significantly amazing man of God. So you idolize it, you're insecure and you're just desperate to be married. Those are the three things that I would be praying for. Fast and prayer. Fast and pray, fast and pray, fast and pray. And I think I'll just send this video to the next woman who messages me and says, what do I do with my boyfriend? Or what do I do? My husband's not Christian. I'm just going to send them this because this is easier and quicker. So pray on, is marriage an idol? Am I desperate to get married? Am I taking this seriously? Because what happens is that if you have these things, it's a doorway for the enemy to come in. And so you'll just say yes to anyone. And there's a consequence. I know that the world wants to erase consequences. Doesn't mean they don't exist. There is a consequence to you being a woman of God and marrying a man who's not. There's a consequence. You are going to have it tough. You got to know. Your life is going to be really tough. If you're really close to Jesus. If you're just a Christian that goes to church every Sunday and then just lives your life normally, it doesn't matter. But if you are really close, chances are you probably won't be able to do that. But if you are getting closer, that's going to be a problem. And I say that with love. As your big sister, consequences, struggling in life, how are you going to raise your children? There's problems. Being patient, marrying Jesus first, winning.